Got it. Let's do this one. All right. Let me make this full screen. Format, Zoom, add side, view, play. I don't want it to play. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, I think it'll do it on its own. Okay, so it's recording. Is it recording in the same format that it was before?
What do you mean?
Was it, you know how we had it to where like the Zoom had the background and then like my face was like on the side? Is that the same way that it is before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, cool. All right, sorry about that. All
Yeah.
right, let's do it. Sorry about all of this. Okay, so self-care tips. It's interesting. You guys are just hopping into talking about marathons and stuff, and I'm so excited to talk about that and running and fitness and things because I really think that that is one of the biggest things that has helped me with just my mental health, like overall, when it comes to just self-care. So super excited about this. All right, so 12 self-care tips for business owners. Let's start this here. Hold on. Sorry, I can't find the mouse. Hold on. Oh my gosh. It's not allowing me to hide the control thing. Hide video panel, hide floating meeting controls. All right, there we go. All right, much better. All right, 12 self-care tips for small business owners. Entrepreneurs and depression, that's really the big thing. A study found out that 72% of entrepreneurs are affected by mental health issues compared to 48% of non-entrepreneurs. In addition, there were significantly more to report a lifetime history of depression, ADHD, substance abuse, and a bipolar diagnosis than were comparison participants. It's pretty obvious on how all of these different mental states can be attributed to entrepreneurialism. For example, depression, obviously, you're dealing with so many different aspects of your business. A lot of people are dealing with imposter syndrome. Just the ups and downs can definitely lead to depression. ADHD is a really big thing, which is interesting because a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, highly creative, et cetera, that's kind of one of the indicators or one of the parts of their being that makes them the type of visionary and the creative that they are. It's a really thin line, between having this ADD, ADHD, and kind of being all over the place and being that person to where you can connect all those dots and put all that stuff together. So have to be really careful about that and also getting things done, because when you have all these ideas, you get into analysis paralysis and nothing gets done, right? So it's definitely a big thing. ADHD is not just for kids. And then also substance abuse. I mean, obviously people want to escape. People can also want to try to find another way of figuring out an idea through different substances. But really it's about escaping is a very big point of it. So drugs, alcohol, different types of things are definitely a big aspect to that. And then bipolar diagnosis, which is, again, the ups and downs. One email can send you crashing about production, and then another email can come literally a second later that has something to do with, investment or other types of support. So this up and down is a really big factor that people have to really be aware of. And just, again, to find your center. All right, so entrepreneurs and stress. Here are a few stresses that they come in many forms. These are some of the ones that I've had to tackle a lot. These are the ones that I've seen other people tackle a lot. These are really like the big pillars. First of all, work and life balance. You want to be there for your significant other. You want to be there for your family. You want to be there for your potential children or whoever you're caretaking for, whether it be an older adult or an infant. Finding out that work-life balance when your business is also your baby, and really putting those things together. Business partners, obviously, that's like another marriage. I always say like, oh, my work wife or my work husband. You spend a lot of time with your business partner, sometimes more than your romantic partner. So those stresses and those ups and downs can really, really be a big effect. That's why it's really important to find the right business partner and the right business partners, find those opportunities to get to know each other in different realms other than business, learn about them, meet their partners and their significant others and different people that are important in their lives. Because, when things happen, what'll end up happening, especially if you really get deep in the business, you may have to talk to or contact that person's partner and that person's significant other for various reasons, or they may be reaching out to you. So you don't necessarily have to be best friends with this person, but when you write a contract with another person, if this person's married, that person's going to be on the contract. So if something happens to your partner, you're going to have to deal with them anyway. So again, it's not much different than a romantic relationship. You want to know exactly the who's, the what's, the whens, the whys, and everything that's going on in this person's orbit. Maintaining employees. Some people are solopreneurs. Some people have, full-time help. And then other people have, they have part-time help. They have freelancers. And I think that, again, it's really important to really take a good deep dive and understand who you're working with, because when the times get hard, these people are going to want to care about your business and care about you in the long run, so they don't jump ship if something's not necessarily going right, for one particular week or one particular period. So, maintaining them can be a lot of stress, because again, once you bring people on, and the more you bring people on, the biggest thing you hear is like, oh, this person's about to send their kid to college, or they have this tuition, or, again, all of these other extra responsibilities that this person has based off of your responsibility to them to make sure that they get paid and they get taken care of for the work that they're doing with you. Production and supply chain definitely can be a big stressor. And the stressor about this that's really important is that this is one of the biggest ones where so much is out of your hands. Your work-life balance, you're generally directly dealing with whatever the stressor is. With your business partner, you're generally directing, your employees. I put partners and employees a little bit different, but they really are the same in a lot of ways. Again, you're working together, because if you don't have a business partner, your head of sales, that's pretty much your business partner. It's just not a 50-50 or, whatever type of setup that you have, with equity, et cetera. But it's very, very, very interchangeable. And with that being said, it's really easy to be able to have that direct line of content and contact and figure out what's going on. The production and supply chain, who knows? You're not necessarily in the factory or the different place. And, as everything starts to grow, there's different people, different things changing hands. Hey, this is the person that's responsible for packing it, but the shipping person didn't show up, vice versa. So that can be a lot of stress. And that's one of those things where you really have to be centered, and you really have to be able to be in a position and an understanding that you can control only what's in front of you and only can control, what you can, because that can really get out of hand. And then, of course, last but not least, sales and fundraising. These could be in two different lines, but at the end of the day, it's about getting money. So, if you're having a sales issue, that's going to be a problem and stress you out because no money is coming in. Alternatively, if you've got fundraising, you're working on a fundraising and, hey, we're trying to raise 500,000, we're trying to raise 2 million, whatever your raise is, again, you're trying to bring money in and you're trying to reach out to other people to be able to do that. And there's a lot of stress on that. I've heard a lot of things where an investor at the last minute pulls out. And a lot of times investors can be triggered to other investors and other things going on. So for example, if something's happening with a business partner or the supply chain, then your investor will say like, oh, well, maybe it's not a good idea for me to really be into this because I really like this partner, I really like this aspect of the business, and this is why I was investing in it, and maybe I'm out. Or because another investor is out, oh, well, that's your celebrity investor. That's the person that was going to be the big bold name on the news, whatever the case may be, now they're out. So just keeping aware of all that stuff. And again, finding your center and knowing that you can only control you. And that's the most important thing in working on doing that. The stresses, again, can take on a significant toll in health. outside of the regular stressors and pressure business felt, pre-pandemic, 62% of owners feel depressed once a week. I could say that's an up and down thing, because sometimes for me, like I'll wake up and feel some kind of way. And then as the day goes on and I, make some goals, I crush some things, I get some good stuff happening for me. And then also the outside things are happening. Maybe I got a good email, I got a good response, sales are up, we got that investor check, etc. All these different things come into play. So it's definitely an up and down situation that could potentially be happening. I also think that really understanding that there's always going to be something. That's a really, really big thing to keep in mind. There's always going to be something happening. So it's really a matter of, again, staying as balanced as possible when things are constantly coming your way. Let's see. Yeah, of course, you are your most valuable asset. Treat yourself as such. So everything starts with you. Everything starts at the top. And I remember hearing Gary Vee say something interesting. And if you guys aren't familiar with Gary Vee, he is like very, very spirited, very, very lively and candid about startup life. He's launched and maintained and sold a number of businesses. He's really big in just like startup culture, with just a lot of kind of preaching and podcasts and things. And one of the things that he said was interesting, like, even if it's not directly your fault as the owner, it's always going to come down to it being your fault in a way, not like directly, but hey, this hire wasn't doing the right way, but I hired the person. You can't be responsible completely for what the hire does, but hey, oh, well, this is the person I chose to be the co-packer for this. Oh, okay, it didn't work out. And it's more so that if something happens, you're going to be the person more than likely, or your business partner, to be able to resolve it. So again, it's always going to come back down to you. So with that being said, you have to take care of yourself, because the energy that you're flowing out is the energy everyone is going to, really pick up on. So if you're not confident about fundraising, someone can really feel that. If you're not confident about the product, or confident about the sales, or confident about the upcoming meeting or project or sprint or anything that you guys are working on, people can really feel that subtle energy. There's really a potential for people feeling that, and that low confidence or that high confidence can really play out and just kind of become a domino effect of what other people are doing. So you really just want to be aware of that and keep that in mind. Yes, so I'm glad you all picked up, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So a few of you I heard have, ran marathons, half marathons, 5K. It doesn't even matter if you've never ran a marathon. If you even trained for a marathon, or even, did some regular running or regular walking, it really is such a great metaphor for it. You have to really just be steady and find your pace. It's not, oh, slow and steady. It's about finding your pace. That is the most important thing. And making sure that it's a pace that you can sustain. Because when you're running a marathon, I've ran a marathon as well, you don't want to start out running, a 7-minute mile or an 8-minute mile. And then when it comes to the 10th mile, you are completely tired, you completely used all of your energy, you're potentially dehydrated, and then you either can't finish the marathon, or you're not finishing the marathon in the way that is ideal. All right, so you really have to keep all of that in mind as you're going through this whole process. Because a sprint, when you start to look at sprints, and you've probably heard this a lot when it comes to productivity and it comes to projects and things, like there's a lot of times where you have a sprint, and hey, for this 1 week, we're going to knock out the production, or this week, we're going to knock out the marketing plan, and we're going to be heads down, and we're not going to work on anything else. And we're going to power through this, and we're going to do this within 5 days, or we do this with a week, or maybe sometimes it's going to take 5 weeks. You're going through that process to really get everything done, and you're trying to move as fast as you can, again, to get back to the longer marathon for all of that to happen. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, what's going on here? I don't have a mouse. Hey, Maybelline, can you admit Stephanie from your end, please?
Yes.
Okay, because for some reason, my pointer is not pointing. So it's just kind of sitting here and it's not allowing me to go to the next slide.
You know that I'm not a host anymore because I gave it to you.
Oh, I thought you made it the co-host. Okay.
And then I gave you full permission because
Oh,
I
only one
had to
person
head
can have full
out.
permission?
Yeah, I had to head out like at 12:15 to open another webinar.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let me let's see
I
what's
know.
going on here.
It's
Sorry
Monday.
about this. This is
I know.
well, it's also Mercury retrograde started like yesterday, and you can joke how you want, but believe me, the last 24 hours has been really interesting, you know, with things like this already. So okay, 8 of 20. Let's go back here. Let's do stop share really quickly. All right, so let's do that. And then
If you make me
from
a
there,
co-host when you get a sec, then I can admit people and then I'll take care of that.
okay, yeah, this is weird. Any questions so far with anything? Make co-host. All right, crazy. All right, let's go back here to, okay, hopefully there's nobody else that's coming in late, so then we don't have to worry about letting anybody else in. That would be super helpful. Share screen. Let's go back to this. All right. All right, going back here. Taking space for yourself. So if you're going to be good at your job, breaks are necessary. Find a rhythm. I would say find a rhythm that has actually a few different pillars, right? So you obviously want to find a yearly rhythm to where there's some type of time that you're taking for yourself for an extended period of time. You know, you hear a lot of people say like, oh, I haven't taken a vacation. I haven't taken a vacation. Figure out every year how to take a few days in some form of fashion for yourself. Maybe that's not saying like, oh, okay, you get the opportunity to go to a beach all secluded by yourself, but something to where it is definitely a difference between the rest of the year for you to renew, to recharge, to reflect. That's super important. And then also every season. So I know a lot of different companies, they'll have like a offsite day every quarter so that people can, you know, get together just on like a looser, you know, activities and things like that. I think that's really important. Again, taking a quarterly look at everything that's kind of going on, even if that's like a weekend, even if that's like a day, and then breaking it down again into monthly, you know, what can you do every month that can really work, you know, the beginning of the month or the end of the month. You know, you can even get super woo-woo with it and say like, hey, you know, the full moon, the new moon is for something new. You know, you can use that time again to reflect, to renew, and to recharge. And then obviously every week, you know, ideally Saturday or Sunday is a day where you're either not working or working less. And again, just taking space for yourself. And so when you kind of set up these pillars throughout the year to be able to do that, it's something that is super beneficial for you and then also beneficial for the people around you. And to be able to impart that with your business partners, employees, team, everything and everything around you to build it up that way. And because you guys are just getting started, I think that, you know, being able to start that and have that foundation of self-care within yourself and within your team is something that really is like non-negotiable these days for businesses. Like people are saying, especially with like the younger employees, Gen Z, they're like, hey, I need a mental health day, or I need this break, or I need this. So we're definitely going to have to lean into that more and more as that workforce grows and as just mental health in general becomes so much more of a priority for everybody, regardless of if you're an entrepreneur or not. Let's see. Again, surround yourself with a supportive community. Friends are great, family's great. And, you know, friends and family who I like to seek out friends and family who don't seem to have an entrepreneur bone in their body and is talking about something completely different. So I can't even fall into that, right? Because work is so much of an aspect of our daily lives and our entrepreneurialism. Like if someone remotely, like some of my relatives, if they used to do business, I'm like, hey, so what do you think about this? And they can be in the trucking business. It doesn't even matter. It's just a matter of talking business with somebody because, again, you're so in it and you're so consumed by it. So friends and family who are like civilians, I like to say, are always really great to lean into. Alternatively, yes, it's great to have friends and family who you can bounce ideas off of with business stuff, especially if they've known you, all of your life, because not only do they know business, but they know you as a person and can potentially, show you things that you may not have really realized growing up. Like, hey, remember when I had that company and you came by and you expressed interest in this, they might be able to help you to connect dots. So, figure out the rhythm and figure out the vibe, and you'll be able to get the support that you need. Industry is always great. Obviously, people that are in the industry, you want to have like a really good foundation of those. Those have been so helpful for me. For grants, for event invitations, like, hey, there's this big conference happening and I got another ticket, or for Natural Products Expo, hey, I can add you to, my list. And, you just really want to keep that together. And even if it seems like you're in a bit of a competitive space, it doesn't matter. Like I've known people to have a product that's similar to another person's product and completely pivot and everything moves along. So you want to have like a big amount of people like this around you at all times to just keep things together and to be able, again, to confide in who are not in the business. And then also just be really mindful about friends and family actually directly helping you with the business, because it could really collapse the friendship and the relationship, especially if like money and investment and stuff like that is involved. So you really want to stay aware of that and, try not to lean too much on certain aspects of your friend and family relationships, and just really try to find people instead that are really looking to get ahead of your industry and really support you professionally. Daily practice. I love this part. Morning routine and evening routine. So ideally, you should have both of those, but we know how things go. Morning routine is really the most important one. And the morning routine also is the one ideally that you can control the most and the easiest. And obviously, a lot of that is dependent upon what time you wake up. You have these people that are the 5 a.m. people, 4 a.m. people, and, they virtue signal like that's the only way to do things. Like, that's definitely not the only way to do things. But alternatively, being up early gives you an opportunity to really work within yourself, because if you are up at 5 and 6 and kind of working on yourself, unless you're doing business with Europe, the likelihood of you being interrupted, besides anything with family, is really slim to none. Right. And then when it comes to you, waking up at like, or getting started at like 9, 10, 11, especially on the West Coast, if there's stuff happening in your business on the East Coast, they're already like not caring. They're already at lunch. They're already checked out. So you want to get that morning routine up and done. And one of the things for me that I found super important is, and there's scientific studies behind this, looking at your phone, the very first thing is one of the most detrimental things that you can do. Even if your practice is on your phone, ideally, you should build a practice initially that doesn't even involve your phone, because that automatically throws your brain waves into a state that is not conducive for rising and getting up and getting going. It's already giving you distractions. It's already, coming at you. And it's the same reason why, children should just be living on the iPad and living on these tablets all the time, because it's just firing off these neurons and you're just putting you in a state that's not ready for the day. It's not setting you up the best for the day. So some of the things that I do in the mornings, I start off with, try to remember my dreams, because if you are really tapped into your dreams, that is really a big window to be able to just kind of see what's going on and how everything can kind of play out in front of you. And one of the ways to remember your dreams, especially if it's really vivid dreams, don't open your eyes. Like, literally keep your eye, like, as you're dreaming, like, oh my God, that's a dream. Don't open your eyes and wake up. Keep your eyes closed, because it's literally like a camera. And rethink the dream, go through the dream, remember all the pictures, the symbols, what color was the cat, That's a big difference. Was it a guy or a girl? That's all of these different things could come into play. So you take that one moment to recall your dreams, and then they're imprinted on your memory a little bit more, so that when something comes up, you could potentially tie it to it, or you can kind of think about it. The next thing is, your waking dreams, your visualizations. How do you want the day to go? How do you want things to look? What are the plans? And just putting those visual imprints in your mind, again, before you get up and get going. The next thing that I do, that I've been doing for about over 10 years now, maybe almost close to 15, it's called the morning pages. And you'll see a lot of people say like, oh, just journal in the morning, journal in the morning. A lot of that comes from a practice that comes from a book that I read a long time ago called The Artist's Way. And it's not just for artists, it's for anyone. It's about opening up that level of creativity that you have, that we all need to be able to, run businesses, think creatively, come up with marketing ideas, and just overall just be more of a, grounded person in our balance of being these analytical people and also being these creative people. And the morning pages consist of, again, no phone, no chit chat, no, this is right after the visualization. You just start writing. They say write 3 pages. Sometimes I just write 1, whatever comes to mind. And when I tell you that a few years ago, I started going to therapy, and we'll get into that because it's about this. I went back, and it took me a while, but I read all of the morning pages from like 2009, 2010, and it's amazing. It's amazing how a one-off comment or one-off sentence, or being able to write the dreams down. A lot of times, if the dreams are really vivid, I'll start off by writing the dream. And I'm going back and looking at these dreams, and I'm going back looking at these things. And for me, I was never a runner. I was never really into that. And it was something from like 2010 where I said, yeah, I mentioned something about long distance running and marathon, and I didn't start running until 2019. So again, your subconscious, there's deep things inside you that may not be coming into play, but these are all things that are starting to manifest. And so even when you write them down, and maybe you don't even go back to it, it doesn't matter. There's power in the pen, and there's power in the pen versus like the typing. When I'm making plans, and I write it out first, and then I start to put it into a Word document or PowerPoint or something like that, because again, that physical manifestation is a really big part of, just getting things done. Meditation, obviously super important, even if for 10 minutes. I know usually I can't even get the songs out of my head for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. Studies have shown that this is definitely something that can change your brain. It could really just help you, centered. If you can meditate a couple times a day, that's obviously a great thing to do. What I like to do every few weeks or so is meditate as much as possible. There is a program called Vipassana meditation. If you've heard of it, it's about a 10-day silent retreat. They have different centers all over the world. I've been to that as well, and it was definitely life-changing. I'm not saying that I automatically came back and started meditating perfectly. It is still a practice, and it is still something that I don't necessarily do every day. Sometimes I'll go on sprints, and then sometimes every other day I'll forget. But a big saying is that like, if you miss one day, that's one thing, but then if you miss more than one day consecutively, that's when the problems start. And that's for working out, and that's for any type of consistent practice that you're wanting to do. Breath work, just breathing, just really taking really deep breaths, and getting the oxygen in and getting that to your brain. We go through all of these like fight or flight responses over emails, and not like how it used to be back in the day when we actually had like a jaguar chasing us or something. So we're constantly like short breath and very quick, and all the stress, and we're not even breathing correctly. So take that minute to really take those deep breaths, because that's literally like drinking water. That's literally like taking a rest. So it's definitely important for breathing. I would say running has definitely helped me with that. Working out has definitely helped with that, because you're forced to take these deep breaths. There's a really incredible book called Breath, and the author is James. I can't recall it. I'll send it, but it really just goes through the power of the breath and how breathing can change, the shape of your face. It could change, your teeth and, cavities, and just everything. And it's really great to read, and it's really great to look into. Yay, breath work. Wim Hof is also another person that you could look into for breath work. It's tons of different exercises on doing breath work to achieve certain things, right? So you can look into that and figure out, how your stress response is. how you best relax, and then apply those breath work methods to that. Movement. I've got a thing to where every so often it goes off and it tells me to move, even if that's getting up and, doing the dishes if I'm working from home, or just getting up and dancing to one song and moving around a little bit, whatever it takes to kind of get the chi going again, to just activate the brain and activate different things, super important. And then obviously just regular fitness and movement. If you're on the treadmill, lifting. And like, we always think lifting like you're lifting like 400 pounds. No, being on the leg press with 150 pounds is a great thing. Any type of like lifting and working of the muscles, especially as we get older, when that stuff is just not as, your body is just not that resilient, and it really needs muscle and protein and everything to keep it going. Definitely important. Again, journaling, that early morning routine is really important and so great to look back on. It really is. And I can't sit here and say like 365 days a year, again, that I've done my journaling practice. I would say out of an entire year, I would say 80% of the time, because since I'm writing it down, if I'm traveling for like a week, I probably won't take it with me, because it would be worth more of it being lost, or misplaced, as opposed to me missing a week, if that makes sense. Because it's like, now I got like 3 months of this in here, and now they lost my luggage and, whatever. And then affirmations, reading things, writing things into existence. There's a 3-prong system that I have with my affirmations in the morning. Writing it, speaking it, and also seeing it and reading it. So however you need to do that is just really a great way. If you have these long-term affirmations and goals, I just tape myself. And so every so often I might change those affirmation goals as they, change around and stuff like that. And I hear myself saying it, and then I'm writing things down, because again, from the pen, you're writing it, and then visually seeing it, and then also visually seeing pictures. There's a great app, a visualization app. For example, I had a marathon medal, and I ran my first marathon last year. I got to take that off, and then I put something else on the list. You have to literally visualize the things, no matter how ridiculous it seems. And one of the big suggestions for visualizations and a lot of these things is to keep these core things to yourself, not even like your partner or anybody. Like, no one should really see your visualization thing. That belongs to you, because that is your goal. No matter if you're doing it with someone else, it's going to be your goal and your vision, and maybe they may project some other energy onto your goal and your vision. That's not exactly what it is that you want to see. So you really want to make sure that you kind of keep that close to your chest. A lot of the visualization apps have, passwords on them, so that you could, have everything put together. Like, again, there's these moments of your daily practice that really belong to you and nobody else, not your children, not your mama, not nobody else. Those are for you. So definitely keep that in mind. Play to your strengths. Super important. And delegate the rest. Figure out what you're good at. Obviously, if you are an entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur, even if you're not a solopreneur, you kind of got to figure out how to do everything. And in the beginning, it behooves you to figure out how to do everything, because then you know how to delegate more. They have this saying, it's more akin to a brick and mortar, but obviously you can apply this to the way that your business is structured, where it's just like, you need to know how to change the toilet, change the fuse. You need to know how to like call the locksmith. You need to know yes, these are things that other people should be doing, but you need to know how to do it, because obviously you're going to be the person that needs to do it, especially if you have a small team. Then that person gets sick, that person you need to let go, you're going to have to know how to do it anyway. And one of the most important things, especially when it comes to a lot of administrative tasks, is that when you're hiring somebody and you've been doing this now for the past 6 months, and in the beginning, maybe it took you 2 hours to figure it out, but then now you've gotten this down to a point where you're able to do it in 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And then when this new hire comes along, and maybe it's taking them 5 hours to do it, or maybe it's consistently taking them 90 minutes to do it and they can't get to 30 minutes, or maybe it's 2 hours. You're now figuring out how to be able to delegate that to the right person, or to just to delegate that in general, and not to say like, oh, well, it only took me 20 minutes. It should take you 20 minutes. Everybody's wired differently. Maybe your 20 minutes is their 45. So you're able to kind of figure out the situation and obviously give grace, and then obviously figure out how to make this work better for the entire team. And then also, as far as just, playing to your strengths. For me, obviously, I'm from more of a creative background, so I'm not really the best one to analyze and to put together the profit and loss statements. I can, but is there someone who loves to do that? Absolutely. Please come and do it, because they're going to do it best, and they're going to figure out different ways to make it better. So then you can lean in and double and triple down on the things that you're really, really good at. And then delegate all the rest of that other type of stuff, because you just do not have the time. You think you have the time, but guess what? That's going to cut into the quality time that you have with your friends and family. That's going to cut into time of your meditation time and everything else. So delegate, delegate, delegate. Fiverr, Fiverr, is really a great app for different really short-term projects that you could literally pay somebody anywhere between $5 and $25 to figure out something on WordPress that, again, you're not really good at. See, it works both ways. Like, you think, oh, I can figure out WordPress. Okay, that took you 2 hours, when you could literally have paid somebody $10 to do it in 10 minutes. Or it doesn't even matter how long it took them to do it. They're going to get it done way faster than you. So again, figure it out how to delegate it and make it work. And then also professionals, therapists, healers, faith leaders, everyone's has a different level of spirituality and religion. Figure out however it's going to work for you. Coaches are really great, obviously. Mentors are really great as well. And therapists are really great as well. I think in this list, therapists are probably one of the most consistent ones, obviously, because you're paying this person to kind of come probably like on a weekly basis or like a bi-weekly basis. And those are the ones, obviously, that are going to really keep things in the strictest confidence, and the ones that are really most professionally tuned to, obviously, psychology and really figuring out your issues. And also, they're the ones that are going to be the best at really tying together everything personally that has to do, obviously, with what's happening professionally. Your coaches and mentors, hey, business, business, business. Oh, well, it might be this with your family, but that therapist, you're going to be able to develop that rapport. I know for me, I started to go to therapy about like maybe 3 months before the COVID shutdown, which is really interesting, because I had I was starting fundraising for the first time. And when it comes to fundraising, and not like fundraising on this like huge, big scale, just in general, asking people for money, what ends up happening in the fundraising process is that it's very revealing. It's very revealing of how you ask for money, the people that you can ask for money, because obviously the first people you want to go to is friends and family. And a lot of times we're here in the startup scene, like friends and family. Sorry, I don't have like a bunch of rich uncles, sitting around being able to cut me a check, or I don't have all, a lot of people don't even have that access. So you start to examine your upbringing, you start to examine your friend group that you developed or you didn't develop, you develop, the relationships with your peers, your family. All of this kind of comes into play, in specifically when it's time to raise money, ask for money, or get some of that type of financial support. So that can be super, super, super stressful. For me, with a lot of other just kind of relationship, personal things, I ended up going to therapy right before that. And then I started running at the same time. And for me, running became a therapy because, every morning you open up your laptop or your phone or your email, and somebody is circling back, or, they got to wait on this and they have to do that. And it starts to take a toll on your self-esteem and your self-worth and just your day-to-day, just your day-to-day life, right? And when you are making physical goals, such as running or walking or jogging or working out, Pilates, whatever it is that you're doing to kind of sweat and get your chi going, you own those. And that's such a beautiful thing, because no one can take that away from you. So if you get up before you even, check your email, and you've ran a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, and you stuck to it and you did it and you finished it, it's like, I did that. And then also all of those hormones, all of that stress that we would get freaked out over someone not responding to our email fast enough. You've literally sweated that out. You've pushed a lot of that energy out to where you can just come sit and fresh at the table like, okay, cool, what's up? I'm not afraid of anything. Hit me. What's going on? And then if you do get hit with something, again, you push yourself physically so much already. It's like, whatever. Okay, I ran 5 miles. Okay, what you gonna say to me? I did this. Okay, what's gonna happen? So find those different things that you can really cling to and you can really own. And you can also not own, like, hey, if you don't get up and run those miles or do what you have to do, that's on you. You want to own your wins and your losses in some form of fashion. So that type of therapy just physically it's been such a blessing for me. And I know a lot of other people as well. And then also your sports, last but not least, we always look at kind of like golf as one of those kind of professional things. Like, yeah, I'm going to go golfing with the buddies. Nobody really knows how to play golf, but they're, making a deal. When I tell you the type of deals and different things that I've gotten done with running buddies, again, fitness, all that stuff comes into play when you have different groups of people that share a common bond that can also spill out into professional life. So, figure out how to make it work for you. Again, be in tune with your mind, body, and spirit. When you're physically active, that really plays into the mental as well, because then you're really able to be more self-aware and in tune with your body because you're working it, right? So you can start to take note of these negative feelings before they even really hit. And meditation really helps that as well, because you can kind of feel it when you're starting to kind of go into a mode to get everything out. Little things will stress you. Oh, wow. Okay. Why is my heart beating? Oh my gosh, because I'm waiting for this answer for this. Take note of those negative feelings, write them down. There's a technique where you write everything down and then you write a list next to it to what you can do to be able to get that done. And if you can't get it done, you move it out of the way and you get the things that you can achieve done. Gratitude, way important. I would say it's way more important than even taking note of the negative feelings, because if you stay in gratitude, if you stay in that energetic level of like, hey, these are the great things that are going on, all you're doing is attracting more. Not to say that, taking note of the negative feelings is wrong. It's that you take note of those negative feelings, you figure out how to turn them into positive feelings, and you move on. Gratitude is just, oh my gosh, I feel great. I woke up this morning, this happened, that happened, that. It's like a magnet, and all these things continue to come and, bring more gratitude. So definitely identify that. Again, all this stuff can kind of be worked out in the journaling. So you can use that as an opportunity to get all those things done. And again, if you have a night routine, it should be very similar to where you power down. There's a 3-2-1 method. So 3 hours before you go to sleep, you should stop eating. Then 2 hours before you go to sleep, you should be aware of like what you're drinking, like start to kind of pull down on that, because then you wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom. And then 1 hour before, or even more, you want to really start powering down off of these screens so that you can get your eyes and your body and your nerves and everything into this space to where you can really start to rest. So I try to use that method. It's a tried and true method, especially for our modern times with all of these screens. So it's definitely something that you could incorporate into your nightly routine, along with maybe journaling again at night, putting down intentions, putting down things that you can then start to process while you're sleeping. So some people do that, like, hey, can you help my subconscious to work out a problem? Like, hey, I've got this problem with this employee and I really want to work it out. Hey, it might pop up in your dream, or you might wake up the next morning and, hey, I got that idea. Let your subconscious really do some work for you, because that's a big part of what's happening when you're sleeping. So give it a little bit of direction and you could be surprised what happens. You are not your business. You're not, even if you're like the face of it, it doesn't matter. Draw a clear boundary between your business value and your self-worth. Very, very tricky thing. I know that for a lot of people, the pandemic took a toll on their business. You may have had to pivot. And then for those that are just really starting as entrepreneurs, I've noticed something. I'm a few years in as an entrepreneur, and recently I've had to go through a moment of founder rebranding. because the business changed a bit and I've changed a bit, I've grown a bit, and you rebrand as a founder. Like for me to even be running this webinar and to be working with Season and CLA, that is now a new reframing and a rebranding of me as a founder, because in the beginning I didn't have the experience to even have this conversation right now. So again, every so often you're reframing yourself and rebranding yourself as a founder, and that is outside of your business, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably going to be an entrepreneur to the day you die. So you can't get too tied into the business that you have, because again, it could pivot, it could change. You could end up being a partner for someone else's business 50-50 and building that together. So you have to really know who you are and what your mission is and what type of founder that you are at the core. So as things continue to ebb and flow, you still have this identity of who you are as a person, as an entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera. Number 9, implement a work-life balance schedule. Again, how I was saying before, figure out these yearly things, figure out these seasonal things. Like my mother is very insistent on me coming to Six Flags with my brother and his wife and the nieces. And, you know, that's one of those things every year that I know, like, okay, I'm going to have a good time this week. And that's going to be a part of the work-life balance. You know, talking to friends and family. Like I talk to my grandmother almost every Sunday. I FaceTime, you know, with my nieces. I don't have any kids yet, so it's a little bit easier to do, you know, things like that. But again, implement the work-life balance. I know a lot of people, I hear that their only social activities involve supporting other businesses or something kind of work related. Try to find things that are not necessarily the case, you know, if you can. I know it's hard, but if you can, to implement, again, that work-life balance, trying to figure out a day off, you know, and maybe that day off isn't Saturday or Sunday. Maybe that day off is Monday. A lot of people in food and hospitality and production, the day off is on Monday. Try to make that the day off, or as much as possible, even to where like it's a short day, like, hey, I'm going to work till 2 and then laptop close, I'm going to do some other thing. So again, figure out how to make it work for you. If you're an entrepreneur and this is really your full-time thing, a lot of the allure for entrepreneurs is to make your own schedule. Do so within the reason of working with everybody else. Invest in yourself. Feeling good is the easiest way to build self-confidence. Again, time, energy, money. Where are you putting these things? Investing time, you know, in friends and family, helping to problem solve with them. You know, that's a good thing as well, because it's a two-way street. When I'm helping other people with their problems, that's revealing the strengths and weaknesses within myself. And then also being able to, you know, work out things that I might not have encountered yet, that I might be encountering. You know, energy and money, you know, if you can swing it, do different spa days, you know, whatever makes you feel good, and to really just make the entire picture for you feel good. Because again, it's not work. Like you'll get burned out, and you know, you see so many people that are so rich with their business and money, but they're so poor. And the biggest thing that people talk about when they get older is that, oh my God, I wish I would have had more time for my friends and family. And you see so much of people that they'll have these, you know, they'll have so much wealth and they'll have so many different things, the pool and this and that. And the person that's actually working to maintain and pay for all these things, they usually don't even have the time to enjoy it. The friends and family and different people are. So again, find that balance to be able to invest in yourself, and also, you know, take a part in, you know, what you've built. Be an example for your team and family. Again, your team will do what you do times 5. If you take the time to care for your happiness, your productivity increases. Again, like I said, leadership starts at the top. You will lead from the front, even if you're not leading from the front. So, you know, be that example, taking that time, that effort, and allowing other people to do so, and just being as balanced as possible, you know, and that allows your team to help you better and for them to work better on their own. And then also it allows your friends and family to be able to support you, you know, in the ways that they can, you know, because again, it's not necessarily, and not most importantly, that they are so in your business, but again, how they can help you out. Again, my mom's like, hey, you need to come to Six Flags. She knows I need to just recharge and escape, you know, so that's her way of doing what she can to help me with just my mental clarity as well. And number 12, most importantly, build your mental resilience, protect your thoughts, filter conversations of what you're listening to, avoid echo chambers. So I was on a call last week and a woman brought up something really interesting, especially living in LA. She's like, I think there's an extra pressure living in LA a lot of times because you'll be at lunch with a person or a conversation with a person, and it's because it's LA, it's just so many opportunities and things happening. So they're usually not normal conversations. Someone will say, like, oh, well, I'm looking at a script, or, oh, well, I just got this crazy investment. I got to talk to this celebrities person. It's always some really wild stuff, or, hey, I just got cast as an entrepreneur in a Bank of America commercial. It's always something happening here that can make everyone feel unstable or feel like they're not doing enough, and feel like, okay, they have an imposter syndrome because this stuff is happening, or this person is talking to a person. Has a deal been done? No, they're just talking to them. So they're making you feel some kind of way. So you have to protect your thoughts, filter your conversations, make sure you're around the right people who are supporting you, and, not being so, upfront and bragging or trying to make you feel some kind of way, finding that balance. Because a lot of times, sometimes it's really hard if you're down to watch other people around you really excel, or they're really hitting a high moment. You have to, again, be balanced and centered within yourself to be able to celebrate that person's wins without not feeling really bad for yourself. So again, build that mental resilience, because you really need to be there for those people around you, because again, it's an ebb and flow. And when they're down, and then all of a sudden, oh, we just got this Visa $50,000 grant, and they're looking to figure out how they're going to pay their next employee. So again, it's a balance. Build that mental resilience. Also, alternatively, avoid the echo chambers. There is a thing such as toxic positivity. No, not everything is all good all the time. And so you have these echo chambers, especially of the people around you, especially of the people that you are essentially paying to be around you, right? So yeah, no, everything's fine, everything's good, no, we're great, we're doing fine. Like, they're not going to tell you necessarily the truth unless they're your like business partner. But your employees, like, sometimes it's a very, think about the positions that you might have been in the past. Like, it's a very, it could be a very thin line. So you want to avoid yes men people all the time in the echo chambers that everything is great and good. You want to look, for that, difference. You want to look for that. What's the word that I'm looking for? You want to look for a little bit of friction, because within the friction and within that uncomfortableness is growth and understanding. So you want to seek out alternative viewpoints all the time. All right, Q&A. So let's go ahead and close this as soon as I figure out how to do it. This thing is crazy. Maybelline, are you still here?
I'm still here.
Okay, I'm on this bar here to escape. Okay, boom, stop share. All right, let me open this up again. Okay, cool. Q&A, or maybe even just like, I think this would, because we're a smaller group, I also think that it could be just a good opportunity for everyone to really just share a little bit about feedback, about kind of things that I've said, share some, great stories, horror stories, and then obviously what we do on Thursday could be more of a structured thing. So we've got about 25 minutes or so. So any reflection, anything, anything resonated with anybody, I would just love to, share and hear any feedback.
I don't mind sharing. Hi, Lynnette. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think, and within anything I do, mindset is a very important thing for me, and mental health is something that I'm always putting at the forefront. I just wanted to share like one of my resources, even for like on the go, is Headspace, the app. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but it's a meditation app. So there's several different kinds of meditations. There's even like sleep music, sleep meditations, there's morning meditations, if you need like a pick-me-up in the afternoon, and there's like varying times. So sometimes I like to meditate in the evening to kind of help me wind down. And then sometimes at the gym, I'll allow a meditation to play to kind of get me into a relaxed mindset while I'm about to do something that is also a stressor. Like working out it's something that's good for you, but it also is a stressor. So those are just ways that I try to keep my mental health in check throughout the day.
Headspace is definitely a good app, and I think it's free, right? Or it's like you
Yeah,
can pay certain things.
yeah, you can. I think you can pay for like a premium account, but I have the free version and it's great.
Yeah, to get started, like you definitely can.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Anybody else?
You know what, Lynette? Everything you said resonated. And it's interesting,
Okay.
like your timeline around therapy, running, like all of that around the pandemic, that was my timeline. Like I started going to therapy maybe 3 months before we were all at home in March. And it was like I just didn't know how helpful it was going to be, especially through the challenges of the pandemic. And that was around the same time I was like, I just have to start moving. So it really has made such a difference. And I would read these things, but it wasn't until I said, let me give it a try, because it's so much more powerful than you think. Because if you really think about it, just moving in a day, that doesn't sound like much, but it just has such a huge impact. I kept thinking, like I would write it off like, well, that's not me. There must be something else people are doing, like for their mental health and wellness. And it real like I do kind of kick myself sometimes to say, like, I should have been trying this earlier. Like, so there was that. And then the manifestation of things. I did have a group of friends, two different groups that we did what are they, vision boards. And
Yeah.
I did take, like, one was like 10 years ago and one was 5, and we were doing one this year, and I hadn't looked at them to realize like some of this stuff like totally happened. Like I put a tennis shoe on there. Now, back when I put it on there, it was like, oh, I wish I was the type of person that would like work out, and it was just tiny in the corner. But it's amazing just like how powerful our minds are. And if we just like focus on like what we need as humans, like how much you can do and feel good doing it. So it's really helpful to hear this. And I can see where, I mean, I've never owned a business where this is even more important, because your identity is your business. Like I have a full-time job, but it's like I didn't build this, and so how it's even more important where it can consume you. Um, and I never thought about that before today, how like this is like a distinct, unique group of people that own businesses, and how important, how easily it can really shake up your world if you're not intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. The little shoe on the side. Like again, it's like the journaling, like I was saying, where just an offhand comment, an offhand comment. Yeah, I should such and so and so and so. That's happening for a reason. Like every single solitary thing you think about is for a reason, it's for an intention. The question on if that reason and intention is ever manifested, but it's obviously a thought that is of something of interest to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have taken the time to cut out a shoe or to write it down and to put that into play. So yeah, that's really awesome. And at worst, it's a great opportunity to clarify your ideas, because not everything is something that you can take a priority to do, but then it's like, yeah, I'm a little bit interested in this, but I'm way more interested in this. Like I always say, sometimes you don't know exactly what you want, but sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't want, so again, you're like, all right, no, I feel way strongly about this. I'm really going to move into this direction. So it's definitely a big thing. If you've heard of Abraham Hicks, have you guys heard of Abraham Hicks? Yeah, Abraham Hicks. So it's a woman, and she used to work with her husband, but her husband passed. But she channels a spirit. So her name is Esther, and she channels a spirit called Abraham. And yeah, it's very intense. It's a lot about what I'm talking about visualizing, having that energy to manifest, and being able to really sit in gratitude and sit in expectation of what's coming for you, what's already here. And it's really easy to find. If you go on YouTube, you just put Abraham Hicks, someone has put all these little cartoons of her, and they're like 15-minute bites, which are great, because sometimes you just need a 15-minute hit of getting like a good piece of information to kind of get you going and to jumpstart you. So there's tons of stuff like that. They're posting things every day, and all of them, and it's not salesy. A lot of times you get a lot of motivational people and all of this stuff, and they'll tell you half the story, and then you have to buy some program or do some other things. It seems as if Abraham has, made a lot of her money actually in these live group sessions. And so what you're hearing is actually just a recording of these sessions that she did, in Connecticut, or when she went to New York, or when she came to LA. So, it doesn't have that just big theme of like, you need to buy something else or do something else, which is really, really great, because again, a lot of these folks out here, of course, it's a business, they're trying to make money. But you don't necessarily need to do that. So Abraham Hicks is really great to look into. Like I said, The Artist's Way is really great to look into. I would also suggest people, figure out, if you don't know already, your birth time, figure out your rising signs and your moon signs. Like, hey, we didn't have tablets and TV up until recently. The rest of these thousands of years, the TV was looking at the stars and figuring things out. They figured out some patterns and things, and it's out here and it's happening. And Mercury retrograde is kind of real. So you want to keep that in mind, because who you are as one sign is a little bit different of your rising sign. Your rising sign is how you present yourself to the world. And, your moon sign is how you nurture and care for people. So again, as a human, as an entrepreneur, all this stuff kind of comes into play. Again, the dream work is super important as well. And yeah, again, just talking and engaging with other people. So yeah. Anything else from this list? I know you guys got a worksheet for Thursday. And I think what would also be good to add to that, since we're all local, if you guys could add literally local resources, even if it's like a facialist that you like to go to, a massage therapist that you like to go to, or this place has the best Pilates classes or the best salad. Think about things that we can kind of share resources as a group. This place has a free class or free acupuncture, or whatever you can kind of think of that would be a good resource for us to share collectively here in LA, because there's a lot of, for all of the Hollywood stuff that's going on and, oh, this is happening, there's a lot of really great wellness. This is definitely a wellness capital of the world. And there's a lot of free resources and free classes and things, or low cost things that, are happening. And because we're all, working in food, there's ways to be able to, integrate that as well. So that would be really awesome to just think about some cool stuff to share. And then again, also like the practices and routines, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, you can screen share. It doesn't matter. Any books, anything, like literally anything. The Gaia app, I think, is really great. It encompasses all of this kind of woo-woo, knowledge of self, meditation as well. I love the Gaia app. I'm subscribed to it. And it's a lot of TV, a lot of videos and stuff. I mean, I would look at that more than Hulu a lot of times, because again, it's feeding back into the big system of you being able to take care of yourself, and then also being able to communicate these things to the people around you. Yes, exactly, Maybelline. It is the Netflix of self-care, Gaia app. Yes, it absolutely is. I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. But again, you might want to switch that out instead of Hulu or, HBO Max or whatever else. Like, okay, Succession is over. Let me go and reinvest it into something else. And this would definitely be a big reinvestment into yourself. So Yeah, those are a few good things. But yeah, we can tap into those lists and things next week. On Thursday. Another good thing, because I'm leading another workshop with another group, and I am really, really big on coincidence and serendipity. Like that's where a lot of my gratitude comes from, which is recognizing and expressing gratitude for that. Because again, this is signs from spirit when things are happening. Oh, but that's really weird that it happened. No, look at that and look at the signs and be able to move forward or backwards or to the signs based on whatever your intuition in the situation is. So if you guys could maybe think about for the next couple of days some really cool serendipitous coincidental things that have happened that you can kind of recognize, you think that are really exciting, definitely share those. I'll say, for example, I had a meeting last Monday, and this is a group that I'm in with Summit, and we meet every other month. And we were planning the August meeting, and they said, one of the women's was like, oh, okay, well, how about August 28th? And everybody was available for August 28th, including me. And then in 1 second, I said, you know what? I don't know. I was like, because August 28th and 27th is the first day for Burning Man. And there's a possibility. I said, I want to leave that open. There's a possibility I might be chefing or doing something for Burning Man. I don't know, like a little bit in advance. Can we move it to the last week in July because everybody else was out of August? When I tell you, I got off the call. Within 15 minutes, I got a DM from a friend asking me to chef Burning Man. Just like that. And I said, oh, she said, well, I don't know what you think. No. Spirit told me. Yes, we'll figure out the logistics, but obviously this was something to where like you could really feel it. And so I have the relationship with this group because we have this WhatsApp thing. I'm always kind of encouraging everybody to say like, hey, what magical happened? Because again, when you give, I say this, when you give your coincidences a cookie, it's like a puppy. Like, it's like, oh man, what else can I do? What other dots can I connect? It's so special. So, once I said that and I recognized it, and then I gave them, the acknowledgement of it, and then they gave power, it gave even more power to it. So if there's some things that happen, once we get off this call for the rest of the week, try to recognize them, and put them in a gratitude journal, write them down or whatever, and, have them, for Thursday, because then again, we can give it even more power to be able to create more magic in our lives, because this is literally how it goes. And so now we're locking down the all of the logistics and stuff for Burning Man, because it is not the easiest thing in the world to do at all. So yeah, you just keep this in mind and work it through and use these different oracles in your life to be able to light the path along the way. But yeah. So yeah, okay. Maybelline is out. Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, do you guys have anything else? Any other feedback? Anything? If not, we got 10 more minutes. It doesn't matter. We can definitely skate out early as well.
I
Going once.
I just want to say, Lynnette, thank you for this lesson. It really was an eye opener, especially with learning to take care of yourself. I come from families that everyone's very hardworking, especially my parents. It's like work Monday through Saturday, depending on their job schedules, and it's very rare whenever we had gone out as a family. So that's one thing I do want to start working on, like giving ourselves that mandatory break in between work and making sure that we take care of ourselves.
Definitely. Yeah, working hard, and then figuring out ways to work smart, so you don't have to work as hard. So that delegation and really knowing who you are, so you can give better answers and to execute all of your plans even better. So all right. All right, so yeah, I'll see you all on Thursday. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording.